What's up, y'all? My name's Moleman3000 and today I'm in a different place than where I usually am. Isn't that nuts? Today we're talking about nutrition and why it is so extremely important for our journey to the top. But before we do that, this is the third video in a playlist of videos, so please click right here to start from the beginning. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. So if you remember from the last video, I started talking about the in real life experience system for sleep. Today we're talking about the in real life mechanics for food. So nutritional science is super complicated and confusing. My goal here with this video is to try to make these concepts palatable and fun to think about as opposed to confusing and annoying. We got 3 columns and we got 3 rows. The x-axis equals quality, while the y-axis equals quantity. We will be going with the energy in, energy out principle. The more energy you consume, the more fat you get. The less energy you consume, the less fat you get. There is a precise amount of energy and or food that you want to be consuming in a day. Our body desperately wants homeostasis, so I think it's only fair that we try to provide. As you can see in the left column is the debuff column. In the left column, what we are eating can only be considered food in the loosest of definitions. Crap, junk food, it sucks, it's bad, it's poison. It's technically edible, it technically counts as nutrients, therefore it is technically food. Technically being the key word. Technically. In all reality, the left column, it's poison, and eating poison over a very long period of time only has disastrous effects on your body. This brings us to the debuffs. Next chart, the debuffs work like so. When we are in the left column, we automatically lose 15% of the experience we would have earned that day automatically. The longer we eat like this, the longer we are in the left column, the worse the effects become. After eating like this for 3 days in a row, our XP loss jumps up to 20% a day. Not only are we losing XP, but our stats are suffering as well. Our stats can be reduced up to 5%. After 3 days, it jumps to an 8% loss. Then after 2 weeks, it jumps to a 10% loss total. On top of this, we become more prone to becoming sick, and sicknesses carry debuffs all on their own. If we're constantly in the left column, not only is our chance of getting sick increased, but the duration and the effect of the sickness increases by 10%. In the middle column, we are still indulging in some delicious poison, but we are slowly beginning to learn to balance it out with some high-quality nutrients. Since we are not exclusively consuming sewage water, the damage being done is far less extreme. If we are eating way too much or way too little, we're not receiving a full-on debuff, but we are still leaking some XP, which isn't ideal. If we are eating the right amount of food, however, nothing happens. You're neutral. No gains, no losses. You are in the middle, which is still like 40 billion times better than being in the left column. Finally, we have the last column, which is the column all the way to the right. Approximately 80% to 90% of the stuff we are eating, good quality stuff. Getting all the way to the right column requires a lot of time, hard work, and developing good habits. By this point in time, we have gotten a good understanding of what healthy eating really is for us, and because of this, we are rewarded greatly. Because of our good eating habits, our body has super effective resources to rebuild itself into an absolute unit. We enjoy some very nice buffs to include increased experience gain, increased stats, and resistance to sickness and disease. Once we have built ourselves up to this point, we have finally plugged any potential XP leaks and have boosted the speed at which we are making progress. So, how exactly do we get to this point? What does it look like? Well, I'm glad you asked, because I'm not gonna answer you. No, I'm not gonna answer that question yet, because we're gonna answer it later in the video. First, we have to define what food is. In part number 1 is food, baby! Let's go! At its most basic level, food is energy. More specifically, food is sunlight. You know, because plants absorb sunlight, they process it, turn it into energy, and we as humans, we're omnivores, so we can either tap into that sunlight energy directly by eating the plants, or we can eat the animals which eat the plants which get the sunlight energy. Either way, both are good. In fact, we're omnivores. We're supposed to be eating both plants and animals. It's not a controversial statement, it is a fact. Food is essentially just resources that, once consumed, your body breaks down and then reorganizes it into stuff you can actually use. Food itself can be broken down into 3 macronutrients. We got carbs, we got fats, and we got proteins. Carbs are used for energy and come in the forms of starch, sugar, and fiber. Fats are used as insulation as well as a storage system for later energy use. Fat is literally a backup emergency system in case you run out of food. Your body can take your fat, break it down, and then use that as energy. Proteins are what our body uses to restore and maintain our body. Think of it like Full Metal Alchemist, right? You can't create something from nothing. In order to create something new, something else must be destroyed in order to make it. This process of deconstruction and reconstruction is constantly going on in your body, and it is called your metabolism. There's catabolism, that is destroying, and there's anabolism, which is recreating, rebuilding. Part 2, poison! Now that we have the most rudimentary understanding of what food is, it's time to talk about what food is not. It's, it's junk food. It's crap. You know what it is. I'm talking about the Wendy's. I'm talking about the McDonald's. I'm talking about the Burger Kings. I'm talking about microwaved meals. I'm talking about Cheetos. I'm talking about potato chips. I am talking about Take 5, Twix, Reese's Cups, Reese's Pieces. I'm talking about crap. Poison! It's poison! Ah, it's poison! The main ingredients usually found in poison are sugar and high fructose corn syrup. Now, sugar isn't necessarily poison, so long as it is consumed in a reasonable quantity. However, most people are not consuming sugar in reasonable quantities. There's sugar in apples and oranges, for example. But what separates oranges from orange juice is, number 1, the amount of sugar in orange juice. And number 2, the lack of fiber in orange juice. Fiber helps your body digest sugar in a non-destructive way. Without fiber, your body can't necessarily tell the difference between this copious amount of sugar and alcohol. It is processed in your body the exact same way. That's right! Your body processes sugar the same way it processes alcohol. And the thing about this so-called food we're talking about, loaded with sugar. Obscene amounts of sugar. Not only is this food toxic for you, it's also chemically addictive. Consuming copious amounts of sugar has been shown to be just as addictive, if not more so, than cocaine. Fun! So yeah, super highly processed foods from this point forward should be seen as super addictive drugs. Our body isn't the only thing that is suffering when we are consuming this toxin. Our mind is as well. This type of food can give us an immediate spike in energy and an incredible rush, almost like a food high. But the high is not long-lived, and when we come down crashing. We experience the same debuffs as when we are not sleeping enough as when we are eating like trash. And these debuffs, they stack. Fatigue, compromised immune system, lower concentration, poorer short-term and long-term memory, muscle loss, fat gain, irritability, anxiety, depression, lower sex drive. It's all bad. This hole is incredibly difficult to dig ourselves out of. Just like any addiction, it takes a lot of time and effort to get off of this poison, especially because it is so easily accessible. It's usually fast and it's usually cheap. Part 3, we're talking about good food and not talking about poison. Wowee zowie. Now that we have addressed what is to be considered poison, we can move on to good quality nutrition. You think you're better than me? Huh? What do you think you are? Huh? Talking to me about what good food is and what poison is? Well, huh? You want to fight, huh? Because you think you're better than me? You think you're healthier than me because you're eating good food, huh? So what is good food, huh? Good food usually come in single ingredients. We're talking about chicken breasts. We're talking about salmon. We're talking about broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower. We're talking about ground beef. We're talking about, like actual food. We're talking about eggs. We're talking about whole oats. We're talking about blueberries. We're talking about banyans. We're talking about avocados. We're talking about actual food. Actual food. When you read the back of the nutrition block, the list where it says all the ingredients, it'll say maybe 2-3 things max on there as opposed to the actual novella on the back of a cereal box. If a list of ingredients has more than 5 ingredients on there, dunzo. If you don't understand what is in the ingredients list, dunzo. If you are reading the list of ingredients on the nutrition block on some food and you're having PTSD flashbacks from high school chemistry class, dunzo. You don't need, no, stop. What exactly makes this food and this stuff poison? Which it is. It's poison. Toxic. Poison. Poison! First of all, it is about where the food comes from and how much it has been processed before it reaches the customer. When you go to a grocery store and you're walking around the outskirts of the store, you'll eventually find the produce section. Now, generally speaking, everything in the produce section eventually has come from a farm. Now keep in mind that all food has been processed to a certain degree in order to meet certain guidelines. But even so, at the end of the day, broccoli is still broccoli. But for all I know, Wendy's burgers came out of a factory. You don't know what that stuff is and you really don't know where it's coming from. They like to say 100% beef, but does anyone actually believe that? I mean, who on this earth knows what kind of chemicals they are pumping into these burgers to make them so damn delicious? You ever go to a fast food restaurant and you get chicken nuggets? You know what that is? It's like 75% of it is the stuff you're not supposed to eat. It's like the beak, eyeballs, it's their feet, and the rest of it might be chicken, and they grind it up and they morph them into these balls and then they fry them in fat. A chicken breast is the actual breast of a chicken. It's meat, it's muscle. It's not all this crap, it's not grinded up. It's not processed nearly to the same degree. It's possible that they sprayed it with some sort of chemicals or something, but one's chicken, the other one is miscellaneous gray goop that you don't know what it is. That's fried in fat! Second, it's about micronutrients. So, what are micronutrients? Micronutrients play an absolutely vital role in making our body function at maximum capacity. And sweet tarts here have exactly 0 micronutrients. None whatsoever. It's pure sugar. First ingredient, dextrose. What's that? Second ingredient, corn syrup. Third ingredient, malic acid? Huh? Get the yeah, exactly 0 micronutrients. Nothing. Now, don't get me wrong, sweet tarts are still technically food. They offer a macronutrient in the form of sugar, which is a carb. So yes, technically food. Technically. However, sweet tarts are literally less than useless in terms of nutrition. So I just Googled these nutrition facts right here. On the left, we have potatoes, and on the right, we got sweet tarts. First, let's try to identify our macronutrients. As you can see, on the left, the potato has 37 grams of carbohydrates, 4.2 grams of protein, and 0.2 grams of fat, while our sweet tarts have 25 grams of carbohydrates. The recommended daily intake of sugar is 25 grams, and that is at the upper end. The sweet tarts have 25 grams of carbs in one serving, 21 of which are sugars. The potato, on the other hand, only has 1.7 grams of sugar, which is quite excellent. Excellent, I say. Very splendid. Well done, potato. Well done. Not only does the potato have protein and carbs, it also has micronutrients. We're talking about potassium. We're talking about sodium, baby. We're talking about vitamin B6. We're talking about vitamin C, iron, magnesium, and of course, calcium. Part 4, moving on, finally getting to the point. Now that we have a better understanding of how to distinguish food from poison, how do we move forward? My recommendation is to take one day out of the week and measure absolutely everything that you eat. Track every single calorie, protein, carb, and fat. It's not going to be 100% accurate, but we do the best we can. Having a food scale will make this process a lot easier. You can also choose to use a calorie tracking app like MyFitnessPal, which is super convenient because it does all the math for you. Once we have tracked everything we eat, what we need to do now is calculate the total amount of calories and micronutrients that we have consumed. Once we have this information, we can start thinking about how we can improve. So let's just say we're on the standard American diet, aka we're all the way in the left column. Let's just say that is our normal. That is our status quo. There's no feasible way that we are going to jump from the left column all the way to the right column. It's just not possible. It's not going to happen. It is just too drastic of a change. Once again, I would like to emphasize the point that all of these foods are highly, highly addictive. I always prefer to opt towards a baby steps approach. Instead of trying to switch our dietary habits 180 degrees in one single day, which you are going to fail, add one new food that you aren't eating to your diet. Let's say we regularly eat sweet tarts every single day. Sweet tart is primarily a carb. Let's replace this macronutrient with another macronutrient that gives us just slightly a little bit more nutrition. How about instead of eating sweet tarts twice out of the day, we replace one of these sweet tarts with a French fries. Now I know that sounds silly because obviously French fries aren't the healthiest food in the world, but once again, this is a baby steps process. We are trying to wean ourselves effectively off of addictive drugs. Look here, more nutrition blocks. Automatically, French fries have a lot more fat than a regular potato because Frenched fries are fried in fat. Now the process of frying a Frenched fry probably makes the Frenched fry a little bit less nutritious. Even so, the Frenched fry still offers more in the way of nutrition than the sweet tart ever could. When your baseline is 0, when your baseline is sweet tarts, the only way you can go is up. You know what I'm saying? This is just one example of how we can apply this swapping principle. It's really quite magical. Look at where your macronutrients are coming from, try to find a slightly healthier option, and make the swap. If we can stay consistent with this new food option, we can move on and add another one. Let us look at brown sugar and maple oats versus regular oats. The maple oats were one of my favorites back in the day, but damn dude, look how much sugar's in that stuff, man. 12 grams? They're doing it to oatmeal too, dude. Is there no limit to this madness? The answer, my friends, is no. A simple substitution is regular oats. Now here's the thing about regular oats. You can't eat them normal because they're all bland and gross. Now, all you gotta do to make it taste good though is you put some peanut butter in there. Peanut butter that doesn't have a crap ton of sugar in it. You put a little bit of honey in there. You mix it all up. Beautiful. You've got a decent carb for breakfast with an additional amount of protein and some healthy fats. And it's easy to make. It takes like 2 minutes. Now, what works for one person might not necessarily work for another person. It is up to us as individuals to find out what works best for us. Consistency is key. We must be patient. This process takes a lot of time, but we will be rewarded if we are faithful to it. For every day we improve, we get one step closer to becoming legends! Once again, y'all, I would like to thank you for watching this video all the way through. It means a lot. As always, I have included some resources in the description that should hopefully help on this long and deadly voyage. See you in the next one.